Hello, beautiful people. Thank you so much for coming to watch this YouTube video. It's about the new moon in Gemini, and I've been absent for two full lunation cycles, I will say. I wanted to explain what happened and then get into the astrology of the moment. And so I got hacked on social media. It was crazy. It was crazy, crazy, crazy. And it's really interesting. I don't know if any of you have ever been hacked. I don't wish it on anyone, but it really took the momentum out and the desire out of posting online, of creating content. And it was, divinely timed for me to just take a break. So for the full moon in Scorpio, it was like, surprise, there's no transmission. And I went deep. Oh man. And I mean, I missed it too because, there's a part of me that always wants to share and be able to hear from comments and, how is the full moon treating you or the new moon? And, one of my friends was like, "Hey, are you still doing YouTube videos? Because I need to know what's going on right now." And it was really nice. It was nice to hear that someone was still missing me, online. And but I really did have to take some time out. I had to change my phone number. I had to delete every single profile and then start fresh. So that's kind of where I'm at, and it was fascinating that just as Uranus had entered my first house of Gemini, where we'll now stay for the next 7 years, and we'll talk a little bit about that for this new moon cycle and why it's so important is as soon as Uranus entered Gemini of the first house, the first, the image of self, the mask, that we wear, all of a sudden, my social media goes haywire and it's like, surprise, all of this is coming offline and you have to start again. Like you need to reinvent and go for it. So that's what's been going on. Thank you for listening to me rant, and let's get into the new moon, shall we? For the five of you who are still here watching. I feel a little playful, and this is pretty much trickster energy at its core. So let's talk a little bit about this new moon and why it's so special. I have some notes. I don't really care like reading them. I just want to riff right now because I'm so sick of AI. And it ain't going away, people. If anything, this new moon seed is the moment where we're about to see it explode on steroids even more. And here's the reason. So let me just start first with the Temple of Gemini. This is ruled by Mercury. It is the masculine air temple. And Mercury rules all kinds of communication, thought, writing, technology. And in a house like Gemini, curiosity is celebrated like to its core. It is a laboratory of creations and concoctions and potions. And it is all about, well, let's try that. It's kind of like the feeling of improv, very much like a Second City, or if you're familiar with like the Groundlings, or, anything where they teach you about as an actor, if you're doing improv, not that I'm an expert or that I'm an actor or that I've even taken a class on improv. But I've heard from people that do this, and I've seen actors speak about this. And the method is yes and. And it's always yes and, because it's like, what's next? You never want to shut down the actor you're doing improv with. So that they're like, let's go over here and get on this fun boat. You don't go, no, let's go into the forest and go play with this, like, I don't know, tree and fairy. You wouldn't do that. You have to say, okay, yeah, let's get on the boat and whoa, look at this crocodile. And then the next person goes, yeah, look at the teeth. It's like, it's just a constant leaning in to adventure and to breakthrough and to discovery. Okay. So that's what's going on right now. And with that, also, especially if you want to look at just what is going on in the world, the reason why AI is coming online and we're going to see it even more. I mean, obviously, it's divinely timed, right? I don't think there's anything that is not under God's plan. So even I think, is part of God's plan. That's just my spirituality coming in to say, I trust this moment that, whatever happens, happens, but God already knew this was going to happen. So the thing about Mercury, though, is anciently he is the archetype of also the trickster. And AI is trickster energy at its core, right? It is the replication of something, making you think it's one thing, but it really comes from something else. And, or if you're with like a chat bot, you think you're talking to a human being, but you're actually just talking to a chat bot. Okay. Or if you see a video, I don't know how many of you get those, like, I do Tai Chi, and it's like 65-year-old just like cut and like, ripped. And it's not even a real human being. AI created it. But I'm like, I need to do freaking Tai Chi. You know what I mean? It's like you're leaning in and it's very convincing. And trickster energy, so the rise of AI and what we're going to see just in our outer world, it's going to be an explosion. And why is it going to be an explosion? Because now the planet Uranus has entered this temple. Uranus is all about liberation, about what do you call it? Not deconstructing, when you just break through all kinds of modes. I have the word in my notes, but I can't remember it right now. I'll think of it as I go through. Um, you disrupt, that's the word. You disrupt structures, and it is in the spirit of breakthrough and liberation. Uranus had been transiting the temple of Taurus, which is a very different feeling. Taurus is a fixed sign. It is very difficult to change things, but Uranus had, 8 years going through to make sure that some massive changes have taken place. Well, now Uranus entering the temple of Gemini. Gemini ain't a fixed sign. It is a mutable sign. It is an air sign. It is ruled by Mercury. Things happen quickly. And with Uranus coming in, it's like adding an elixir of just like a whirlwind of so many different things that can happen chaotically, quickly, suddenly, surprisingly. We are going to now see this explode. And so I wanted to really focus on this new moon and specifically the archetype of the trickster, because from a divine perspective, in this seeding moment, that is what we're understanding is taking place within our garden, right? This new moon seed is inside of us. Yes, there is this celestial, beautiful temple somewhere of Gemini, that I hope like when I die, I get to like go and see it, or maybe journey with plant medicine and go find it. Anything's possible, right? Surprise, Uranus and Gemini. Um, and, but really looking at it as a gardener, it's an understanding of, wow, for the next 7 years, like this is the first seed I'm going to plant with this crazy energy of Uranus now inside of here, who will disrupt and change and surprise me and shock me in all different ways. But the trickster energy is my guide. And this is where I think it's really good to understand that trickster energy is not always bad. That being said, I've done many spiritual works, and when you open yourself up, if you're on plant medicine or any other kind of or meditation, or your guard comes down and you can open up to other worlds and other energies and other spirits. You need to be careful for trickster energy, right? Trickster energy can be there to create the illusion and have you believe something that's false that really isn't. Ultimately, I know and I trust it's all divine, but trickster energy is also something that we do to trick our brain into creating a new reality to help us move from this stuck place into breakthrough. I think of techniques like NLP or visualization, even like, think of like an athlete, or when they go onto the track, or, it's like, let me envision winning the race. What is it going to look like? How am I going to feel? And you begin to taste it and smell it and see it. You're tricking your brain to create this better life. And so that is the beauty and the power of what is seeding itself and encoding itself within this temple. And you want to look at where Gemini rules in your chart to see, where is the universe pointing me, guiding me that this is going to change? Is it in my relationships? Is it in my career? Is it in, my deepest, darkest wishes or brightest wishes? Um, is it, my physical body? Like mine is in my first house. So any Gemini rising, like this focuses on our body, the face, the mask that people see in the world, our personality. And it's weird. I'm trying intermittent fasting for the first time, and just like already seeing like creative ways to sort of like trick my body into producing ketones, or like just really cool stuff. So I want us to really celebrate trickster energy if we are holding it from that space of devotion and that space of like intentionally dreaming in our highest, most benevolent timeline for our life. And what does that mean? It means that everybody has paths opening for them. It means that we're living with love in our heart, with peace in our mind, and how can we trick by Uranus coming into the Temple of Gemini for these next 7 years and us getting opportunities to plant new moon seeds, and then 6 months from now see the full moon in Gemini at its harvesting moment of like, okay, here's a preview, what's taking place. But really understanding trickster energy is our guide. That being said, trickster energy is also here to create chaos and to also maybe pull us in different directions. And so this is where discernment needs to come in deeply. This is where that level of, do I really want to do this? Is it a breakthrough for me, or is it just feeding my ego? Or is it pulling me into like an old pattern, or is my intuition telling me something different, but I'm being forced or pulled by, something because everybody's doing it? There's a lot of discernment that's going to need to take place now. And it's not to alarm anybody, but just know that as trickster energy, the rise of trickster energy becomes greater and greater and more amplified in the field, those who are not living from this space of devotion are also going to be able to create, their own desires of wherever their compass is pointed. And I know I had it in my notes. I don't know if I've said it before, but this temple of Gemini isn't really concerned with morality. This is not like her Mercury's temple of Virgo. Virgo, yes, you need to be good because we're gonna die, and you want to be in service, and there's so much more concern of morality in the temple of Virgo. Gemini, not so much. It's like when Prometheus stole the fire from Mount Olympus and just came back. Like, I don't know. I guess I took their fire. Here, humanity, do something good with it. Like that's Gemini. That is Gemini energy. So I just wanted to make this quick video and just say hello again. And I hope you're having a beautiful new moon phase. I hope that you're really tuning in. I hope you're writing what you wish to create, knowing and giving grace and openness to surprises that are going to come in along the way. And I thought I would end by doing a little bit of a comedy skit. And I used to do these in like some YouTubes like a couple years ago. I would always end on a comedy skit. And this is playful, it's quirky, it's Gemini. So I thought I want to do this for this one. So how I picture this temple, like what takes place in Gemini, it's called How Many Different Ways Can You Say What? And that is all I'm going to say. But if you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends, leave me a note or feedback in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And without further ado, I present to you my comedy skit, at least I think it's funny, of how many different ways can you say what? 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 Oh, what? Oh God, what? 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 Whoa, 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 whoa. What? Whoa, what? Whoa! What? No, I didn't hear you. What?